Okay.
And welcome back to Miniature Dragon Comic Review. As always, I'm your host for the evening, Daniel Doc Gentry, and with me is our industrious and illustrious gurus of the comic books from Miniature Dragon Comics, Woody and Alex. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello there.
Good.
And
Hey,
we are live
and we also have the guru of books.
No.
Hello, Guru of Books.
Don't worry, everybody. In post, I can add a picture because I've been actually recording the film for a while.
No.
So, hi, everybody. So, did you guys have a good week?
Yes. I got my car worked on twice.
Yay.
Yeah.
We should
It's
set
not
up.
going to break down instantly.
No, I don't think so.
We should set up a food drive for you.
Yeah.
All right. You guys got anything interesting going on, or you just want to jump right in?
Let's just jump into it.
Wait, you guys have something coming up, though. You're going to be at something
Yes.
over the hills.
Yeah. Next weekend we should be at the Central City Comic Con in Yakima.
Sorry.
Why is that funny?
Yakima is hilarious. I've always laughed. There's a procedure where they go in and they do echoes and scans of hearts. It's called a TEE, and every time it's said, I think tee-hee-hee, and I can't help but laugh. And it's been 22 years, and I'm still doing it. So I have no hope. So I don't even know why anybody tries it anymore.
Well, we've heard good things about the Yakima show, and it was dirt cheap, and so hey, why not?
And you get to say Yakima.
Yakima.
All right, well, let's just get rolling. Let's jump right into Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons 1 and 2.
Yes. So I saw that one come out a couple weeks ago, and then the second issue came out. It's like, okay, let's pick this up. It looks interesting. Warning: this is not Rick C-136 or his Morty. This is the comic books that they do take place in other continuities, exploring other Ricks and other Mortys. And in this one, apparently, this version of Rick is a closeted D&D fan and like big time hardcore D&D cheater. And the comic book, I'm going to say right now, I didn't enjoy this as much as I thought I would. The basic setup is that Morty's on the bus, hears some kids talking. They're talking about a D&D game, and all he hears is gamers get laid, and suddenly he wants to get into D&D. And then after that, it pretty much goes downhill. So, what did you guys think of this comic?
Alex, you want to take it away?
Yeah. So I thought it was pretty fun. It was kind of interesting to get a very abridged version of here's the history of first edition, second, and
exactly.
going third for the two books that we did.
Yeah.
And gosh, I really want what was it, Hobby Hack, or the store that they have in that
store.
world.
Yeah.
There's a game store that they have in that world, and it's like that needs to be a real thing where it's like, here's the Warhammer kind of thing down this aisle, here's the Dungeons and Dragons, here's all that stuff.
Well, see, that's how you know it's his fiction, because no game store is that busy and full of that many smiling people. Like there's
I beg to differ. I beg to differ.
That many.
I beg to differ.
Well, I mean, there's Card Kingdom, and then there's the one in Olympia. Those are the two.
I'll give some love from way back home in Kenosha, Wisconsin. There's one called Rockhead Games.
Yeah,
it's like that a lot of the time. Unless you get there right when they open, the place is filled with people. Everybody's happy. It's awesome. I want to give some love to them because that was one of the first places I went to game. So
nice.
Well, if you want to see a place like that for real, go to the Card Kingdom, which they think they call it Mox Cafe Mox. Well, basically the one in Ballard used to be called Card Kingdom, and then there's Olympic Cards and Comics in Olympia, Washington. That's also like that. Those are like two solid places to go.
If I was going to go to Olympia, I'd drive all the way down to Portland. You might not have liked the comic as much as you thought you would have, but I thought it was hilarious because it makes fun of every kind of gamer and it's making fun of like every show that's out there. There's a lot of Critical Role jokes I was catching in that.
Yeah.
There's some Dungeon Delve ones from in there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Some of the guys from D&D.
Acquisition Inc.
Yeah, definitely Acquisition
Incorporated.
Yeah. There was a lot of jokes in there. If you watch these shows, they were hilarious. I love how they were making fun of the min-maxer, the noob, the stereotypical rogue.
and we've known people that did what Rick was doing over the years.
Yeah. Oh, I love Summer's first outfit.
Yeah.
Yes.
In book number 2.
Oh no, that's when you know that they've been watching the gamers.
Well,
that trope goes beyond just the gamers, but I mean, it's like, that's like a classic thing of like, even the cover of Azure Bonds from the Forgotten Realms series, where it's like this bikini chainmail, you know.
I think Warp Zone does a joke like that, but anyways. I thought it was funny that came up. One of my first characters that I had in 5th edition was Sheila, and I'll never forget that because, of course, first character in the new edition. And I wanted Sheila to be a war cleric, but I wanted her to be her religion, like the armor's passed down and it represents her rank and stuff like that. I actually had to buy Hero Forge. I'm not big into, helping people find these, but it's one of the few that you could still do this, where Hero Forge let me use a flat armor instead of a portrayed armor to build Sheila. And it was hard to find something that didn't have breadth. And I'm sitting there going, because I studied a little bit about medieval times, I was like, that is so inefficient. She would die from the first strike, even if it didn't hit. It would just deflect right up into her neck and cut her off.
Well, because when I was reading the book, just in terms of story pacing, this is kind of crude to say this, but I felt like it was just a continuous cock tease kind of story where it's like they kept spending all this time on setup and never really got anywhere, and then it's like, oh, let's go to the next. Now the next issue is going to be the big setup or the big payoff, and then issue 2 I felt like it never really had a big payoff. Like it just kept going.
I felt like it was a very tongue-in-cheek kind of comic where it's like, for somebody that plays Dungeons and Dragons, I feel like this is a book that you might enjoy. A very tongue-in-cheek kind of take on it, a very satire of it. But taking it very literal, I think is kind of a mistake here. It isn't like the D&D books or the Pathfinder books, the comics, where it's like here, this is the universe where these people exist, and they're doing this stuff, and you can show your player group like, this is how an adventure group is if they have no personality, and you can just basically show those books as like illustrated combat scenes and whatnot, whereas this goes into kind of like the history, the idea behind like it, and like Doc, you were saying, it's like the archetypes of Rook was the munchkin, the power gamer, the one that like, oh, look at that, I fudged the rules just enough, or like, oh, it's just me and you, Morty, you had a bunch of 18s, really, I saw it, wink, wink.
Well, it's just, I felt the same frustration that Morty was feeling, because he was just getting upset with how Rick was handling it. He wasn't really teaching him how to play the game. He was getting basically hazed. He wasn't getting a chance to play. And for me, reading the story, I felt just as frustrated as he did as a reader. And, it's just like, it never really got anywhere. And I actually thought the first issue was actually kind of boring. Like, picked up a little bit in issue 2, but it's just like, for me, it felt like it came from, like, it felt like it was the result of a research project, not a result of somebody with actual understanding and experience with the medium.
And I get what you're saying. No, I get what you're saying, but I think you're both right. You're right. If you were picking this up and you wanted something that was as entertaining as, say, Rat Queens, or you wanted Rick and Morty meets Rat Queens, which is what I thought it would be when I first went to open it up.
Which is kind of what I expected, too.
Right. But really quickly I realized that it was this big, not only giving you a history of D&D as a whole, but it's stereotypical Rick and Morty, and then stereotypical players at the table. Like Rick Sanchez is definitely your min-maxer. Period. That's what he was.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, to a certain regard, it's almost like it was basically Knights of the Dinner Table, and you had Rick like Brian.
Yes. Yeah, that's completely fair. The thing I think for me
Sorry.
though is just like the part I think just bothered me the most is they spent all this time getting to what you think is going to be the big thing where they've got the holodeck, scenario and a really good Star Trek callback to the Moriarty episode.
Yep.
But like, and they literally set you up to believe that the holodeck is going to try to kill them. And there's even like a malfunction. It's like, oh, we're all these safety protocols, and it's like you see the malfunctions that Rick doesn't, and you're like, oh, it's going to come after them, and it never does.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
So
like,
for art, it's a little low grade Rick and Morty. What I would expect from like watching Rick and Morty. It's not. It's really good. It's right there, but I could see the differences in the drawings and stuff. Whether it was rushed or whatever it was, but it definitely has a Rick and Morty feel to it. The story, I mean, I gotta agree. It starts off, if you just go for story, which is what I use that Matrix for, the story itself is not super awesome. I enjoyed the comic. I just want to point that out. But you're right. It wasn't like a fluent story that followed some trend. It didn't have plot. It didn't have the stuff. The lettering, though, was really well done in it. And I also like how they got Morty's dad slightly involved in the comic too. But
like the echo of like Jerry versus how Rick was experiencing like the parallel. Yeah.
This is a comic book where like if you're gonna meet Matt Mercer or Travis or Lauren or even Greg Tito or Chris Perkins, I would pick this book up just to get their autograph on something. Because it's funny that it kind of picks on those people overall. But as for like a comic book series, I wouldn't pick it up, but I'm very picky on mine.
Yeah.
But I did have fun with it, but that's because I got a lot of the jokes, especially, I don't remember if it's the end of issue 1 or 2. I think it's 2, where it has the Rick Sanchez character sheet that's drawn out.
Yeah.
Oh, number
issue 1.
Dude,
yeah, that was amazing.
Look it over. If you watch any of those shows, there's a ton of jokes on there. And the first thing that popped into my head was, like, he had an intelligence of 30, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, I do want to say,
did you notice his charisma?
I did notice the charisma, too.
I actually like, though, in this book that they did upgrade the art, because I had seen Rick and Morty, when we looked at a Rick and Morty book before, the art was passable, but it was obvious that they didn't really pick the best guy. And this one looks much closer to the show. Like, this is a better artist than the person in the previous book we reviewed, and I'm just, so like I'm happy to see that they are trying to do better in terms of finding an artist for these books.
No, it's a lot of fun. If you haven't read it, pick it up. I wouldn't pick it up to collect it. I would read it off of some medium, maybe when it was on sale personally, but it's funny enough to read if that's the kind of stuff you're into. If you're not, a lot of the jokes and a lot of the tongue-in-cheek stuff's going to go over your heads in this one. Even though it does give you a little bit, it's funny how it starts in 1, goes to 2, and we end in 3. I think we ended in the beginning of 3, or it starts in 3.5, whatever. Which, if you don't understand that's the progression of D&D over time. But that's what it was. You guys, we'll get back to final thoughts on this, but let's go ahead and switch back over to our second comic for today, which is Batman Damned number 1. So I got a lot to say, but why don't you go ahead and start off? And no, I didn't. Okay, I don't have the picture on, Woody, so you don't have to worry about the Twitch thing.
Oh, okay, good. So this is a book that when I had said that I had gone through the whole list of Comixology and wasn't interested in anything, I looked at this book, almost bought it, but I thought, it's just another Batman book. Who cares, right? Well, I was wrong. This book, just from a story standpoint, I thought it was amazing. But the reason why we're reviewing it is because if you were lucky to catch the first printing of this book, which is sold out now, like shops are selling this book for $40. It's going for $50 or more on eBay right now because it's a black label adult only book that has a nude scene with Batman that actually has Bat Dick, and which does not appear in the digital edition, and according to DC will never appear again, even in print. And I thought it was an interesting thing that they actually went there, and then within 48 hours of releasing the issue, they'd already caved on it. But it caused a bit of a controversy, and I actually found a picture of the scene that we didn't get in the version that we read, and so you guys got to see it, and I'm really curious what you guys think of the controversy around showing this.
All right, so yeah, let's start off with that.
In a DC book,
we've all seen the picture, so let's start off with this, because I really want to make this very clear. I've looked over that picture, and it was like they wanted it to be there, but they didn't want you to see it. It's not like there's like a ton of detail. It's like hidden off in the shadow. You have to try to find it. Yeah. I think this is just a bunch of people getting angry because people want to be angry about something, and that's what I kind of feel happened here. Especially a Black Label, like, you know, it's going to be graphic, and I mean, just it's a non-issue for me, and I'm usually very traditional when it comes to that kind of stuff in comic books. You know, I'm a little bit more oriented towards comic books should kind of be for everybody unless otherwise stated, but even that, if it was in the comic, I would not stop anybody from reading it. I mean, it's not, I get it, it's not G-rated, I got it, but it's definitely not R, because that thing is so hidden in the shadow, you got to dig for it.
Yeah. What do you think, Alex?
I didn't really care. I mean, it was kind of one of those things of, it's the human body, and most human bodies are beautiful. You know, some are flabby and, you know, sagging and whatnot, but that's just us. But I mean, I felt like it was more of the fact of, I felt like one of the last scenes would have had more conversation about that than anything else.
Yeah. The final panel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then also, if you look, I actually felt, I was flipping through the digital edition, there's that scene where he's sitting naked in his chair in the study, and you know, like, you can actually.
So you were looking, man.
I was trying to find the spot. I was trying to see what they blurred out, and it's like
magnifying glass and everything off.
The penis is almost like there as if it was added later, like as a stunt, because like the way the shadows are lined up, it actually shouldn't be visible, and it's not. I don't even think it's in the right spot.
Do you think he trims and does a little bat? Bat hair.
Alex, I'm a little concerned on how much you're dwelling on the whole bat ding dong tallywhacker.
but like,
this is what we're talking about. Apparently,
there is a part where you could even in the digital edition, you can still see the pubic hair. Basically, just be blunt. Like it's
shaped like a bat.
No, it's not.
I almost thought it was. You make that joke, but I seriously went and looked. I think we could dwell off of this. This really is. It feels like a non-controversy, and I think it was set up to do exactly what it did, which is get people talking about it, get people buying it.
Well, what I felt about, because like when I was looking at other YouTubers reviewing the book and seeing what the controversy was, and people are talking about basically the penis, but nobody was really talking about the quality of the story, really. And what I thought was interesting is that this is basically a Justice League Dark story that somebody had, and they probably turned it into something a bit more graphic. But it's got the Batman, it's got Deadman, it's got Constantine, it's got Zatanna, and who's the other one they had? I forget. But basically, and the only person missing is the Swamp. The only person they had the Enchantress, but they used the Enchantress from Suicide Squad, and the only one missing is Swamp Thing. And so I expect him to appear in the next issue. But it's basically it was this amazingly gritty story, told out of sequence, and it takes you a while to realize that Constantine's the narrator. And it's like, I don't know what's going on in the story, but it's so compelling to read it. And I thought Batman's was so gritty and real looking with his outfit. So and it's just, I enjoyed it.
I'm super glad they used the comic book Constantine and not the movie Constantine. I thought the movie was great, don't get me wrong. I think Keanu Reeves did good with what he had, because he's definitely not a blonde Cajun dude, but
he's British. The character's British.
But you know what I'm talking about how the speech comes out. It's
if
you were going to do that, you would do that. I like that they did that.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's get down to it. I mean, our three matrices, I think this thing hit home on a lot of them. One, the art in this is stellar. I was very impressed with the art in this. The detail, every little detail that is in this thing is extraordinary. Even the narrating by Constantine and the way the lettering is different than it is written in the rest of the book is extraordinary. It definitely brings a product to it. It's everything is drawn immensely well in this. Details of just bystanders was incredible. The story, I hate stories that bounce. And I really was like, this was told right. What I mean by that is we didn't have to go into the past to learn about something. The story was set up to tell it like this. And I think it was done really well. And I even was super impressed by a lot of the lettering that was done in here, where they placed certain things on the page. I even pulled out of the GV view, where it does the box to box, you can read everything. I wanted to see every page because it was incredibly done. I think on the three matrices of this is a great and really well done comic book.
Oh yeah, I'm totally getting issue 2. Though you guys can probably look at it right now. I can't because I'm on my phone. But something I didn't check, and I think I should have, is that so when they're doing the script for Constantine's narration, is that a font or did they actually draw it out by hand? And it's easy to tell because you just pick a letter like a vowel, and you look at other versions, like if it appears again, if it's identical.
Pick a letter. And I will look that up while we hear Alex talk about it.
Yeah, because I'm curious about that. Looks like Alex is checking.
What'd you think about it, though, Alex?
I was trying to, but... What was that?
What do you think about this one?
I thought the art was definitely well done. I mean, this was definitely quite a master level of discipline, but like everything had a real realistic feel to it, but didn't really engage me too much. I mean, there was some really interesting use of panels, but one of the biggest problems that I had was some of the contrast. Like some of the typography definitely lost within some of the levels of how they used the contrast of darks and lights. So there was some parts that were a little harder to read. But
I would have thought you'd be into this because you've talked about Justice League Dark before, and like how you. I mean, I thought this kind of would be right where you'd be because this is practically a Vertigo book.
Meh about it.
Yeah.
This doesn't. I mean, it's like it has some Vertigo characters, but it didn't feel like it was very Vertigo.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was interesting the way that Deadman was illustrated.
Oh, Deadman was amazing.
It's like this. Skin bodysuit, and Cal was, the
bodysuit was blended with muscles, like he was a true horror ghost. Like that was like smart. Like I was kind of wondering why nobody thought to do that sooner. That seems so obvious now that I look at it.
From what I can see that I'm looking through this.
Yeah.
On the page, the letters are very similar and hard to discern, so I did a couple different pages, and they're definitely different.
Sorry, you just broke up.
You
said they're different?
They are different, yeah. The ones that are that look like they're written in, like the 3 blocks on the bridge, yeah.
So, wow, so somebody actually wrote all that out.
It's not everything, it's just those little things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like a good letterer is able to do it the same, but it's never perfect, right? So, if they actually had somebody write that out, that's pretty astounding.
Yeah. So on the page, like one page, they look really close, but if you compare them to the other ones, there are differences. And I used the E because it was really easy. It looked like on the first page there was a triangle point in the inside. From the penning, so I went to in the next page. It was more rounded. That's how I could tell.
Mm-hmm. Right on. I'm really impressed because hand lettering, is. I mean, I can't do it. It's a lot more work, and I'm really impressed when people can do that, or they go to the effort for something like this. It's kind of like those journal passages in Saga. Like, I'm pretty sure those are hand done. They certainly look it, you know.
Oh yeah, where the kid is telling the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I love this comic book. I'm actually very
Yeah.
surprised. I thought you'd be more into it, Alex. But the story was, when the story got going, it was easy to follow at the very beginning. It was hard, but I think it was meant to be that way because there's a lot going on. You know, they have the heartbeat around the drawing of the box, and it really helped because I can kind of hear the beeping. I'm in the medical field, so I probably was just hearing the beeping from seeing it. But I'm hearing the beeping while reading it, and like I could really feel all the noise that was going on around it at the same time. It really did bring that in. It was really well done.
Well, there's kind of a supernatural aspect to this where Batman seems like Batman is being haunted. It almost looks like there's something like a supernatural force that created him that made him into Batman. But it's like, you know, something is messing with him, except when Constantine went to try to help him out. And then he was sane again, and then he had trouble again. And it's like, it seems like what the story is basically a reflection of what's of the insanity that Batman is going through. And it was hard to follow, but done in such a good, like, so compelling to me artistically that, and the story was just interesting enough that I really want to keep reading, because like I got to the end of this and it's like, I don't know what's going on, but I want to know. And you know, I'm very excited to read the next issue.
So before we switch and we go to the final thoughts, because we were there, I just want to point out, it keeps popping up on the screen. I just want to say it. One of my favorite, and I usually don't do this, my favorite scene that was drawn out in this entire comic book, the frame, was Batman falling into the water.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And it was just, it's awesome. I just want to point that out. But anyways, yeah, let's go to final thoughts because we only got a couple of minutes left here. Alex, what are you thinking on these books?
So, I felt like Rick and Morty was a good kind of tongue-in-cheek, especially if you do enjoy Dungeons and Dragons and Knights at the Dinner Table and kind of that parroting of such. If you're not much of a D&D fan, I would say that this book might not be up your alley. If you are a Rick and Morty fan, you know, it might still be enjoyable. But definitely check it out for yourself. And as Batman Damned, the art is really pretty.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, Batman Damned is definitely a 5 out of 5 for me. This is definitely in the top Batman comics I've ever read. I mean, I put it up there with Dark Knight Returns. We'll have to see how the series ends. It's just a mini, and I'm excited to see how it ends. Rick and Morty, I'd give it 3 out of 5. I mean, it's like, I think that they intended it actually as a gateway for Rick and Morty fans to discover the D&D comics, because each one has a preview of a D&D comic you can now read and get hooked on. But it's not something that you would read the story if you don't know the game, because it's just full of all the stuff that and if it was anybody else other than us, I don't like if I give this to my girlfriend and go, here, check it out, I don't think she'd have a faintest clue what they're talking about. And you know, it's like it's clearly meant for us, and I don't think it hits the marks as well as they were hoping for. So
yeah. Batman Damned, incredible. Even if you, I think Alex said it best. I mean, even if you're not going to enjoy the story and stuff, the art is definitely worth picking it up. Even if you can't get your hands on a controversial copy. Rick and Morty D&D, yeah, I agree. It's a good comic book for me. I enjoyed it. I had fun with it, but I got the little tongue in cheeks. I got the shots at all the little different shows that are out there. It was super awesome, and I enjoyed the little stories at the end. And I reading those, because you brought them up, you don't have to know Dungeons and Dragons to read those comics.
Oh, no.
It definitely showed it at the end.
Better not.
Yeah. At the very end, it was definitely more of, if you enjoy that kind of thing with the serious atmosphere with the little jokes in it, is what the games end up being anyways, but my favorite is the space hamster thing. I enjoyed these books. They were a lot of fun. I would say pick them up, give them a chance. Rick and Morty, if you're a serious comic book collector, I would stay away from them. They're definitely not going to be something that you're going to enjoy that much, but if you like the little tongue-in-cheek jokes and stuff like that, or if you've seen the show, picked them up. They're really good.
Yeah.
I would pick up Batman Damned if I was you. I'm planning to actually pick up a hard copy myself because I enjoyed it. And as you guys know, I'm not that big onto collecting comic books all the time.
You may find it hard to find.
No, but I will
Yeah.
eventually find a copy. They'll
Yeah.
reprint. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and the reprints will be dick free.
Darn it.
Well, you can always get those drawn in.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, well, I have a pen you can use for that.
No,
That's great.
I'll find the artist, get him to sign it, and then be like, could you just like put a peen in there somewhere for me?
We could get Alex to do it. You got the artist.
No, I want the artist from the
table.
book.
That
It's
dog.
very important. Yeah, check us out. We relaunched the website. I think we figured out a fix to reading the comics on the phone. If you have to get really close to read them, right now they come out kind of blurry. If you don't have to get that close, they're fine. You can read the comic books. They are free on there. I would look on my computer. Right now that's miniaturedragons.squarespace.com. It'll change soon because I think I know the owner of miniaturedragon.com.
Yeah, well, you can also go to economyoftheseries.com, and that takes you to Cyber Symbiosis.
Oh, there we go. So you go straight.
Yeah.
But if you want to see the rest of them, it's on there.
Yeah.
Please use conwaytheseries.com.
Yep, and we are updating that now, and I hope to have new pages of the other stuff on Tuesday. But I would like to actually change the whole thing to just have a column of pages like we do on the homepage. But
yes. So anyways, thanks for just why don't you just write it out to everybody while we're talking about discussing this?
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I'm trying not to make it look so GeoCity-y. So it is one of those things.
All right.
But yes, read more comics, keep it nerdy, and live your dreams.